hot barrels and tight lines, this is Bryan Muche, and welcome back to Conversations with a Sportsman. On April 5th, 2016, we sat down with Buddy Melges, world champion sailor, gold medal winning Olympian, and a passionate waterfowler and outdoorsman. In this episode, Buddy shares his personal perspective in how skill and experience have brought unparalleled success in the sports of sailing and duck hunting. He also shares his account of a thrilling race-winning ride on Lake Winnipeg during the Pan Am Games. Who is Buddy Melges? The world knows you as a sailor. I know you as an outdoorsman and duck hunter. What do those two things do for your spirit, fill your bucket, those two?
Well, being both. I mean, you're with Mother Nature in both sports, and you're very conscious of how she can give it to you, that shaft, or she can be very gentle with you, and knowing how to please her and use her in both sports is amazing. My sailing is seat of the pants. I feel I get accused all the time from my competitors about how you sense the speed of the boat, the angle of heel. Most of the dinghies are not allowed to have all that mechanical advantage, electrical advantage of speed and wind angle approach and wind velocity and stuff like that. And I made Bill Koch buy an ace cow when we were doing the 92 America's Cup, because I felt that he had to learn the angle of heel with the boat, and would be able to maintain a nice even speed without chasing the numbers all over and putting a wake on the water that would break a snake's back. So with that, I think that the angle of heel so much imparts what each class boat you sail will give you in ultimate performance of itself going around the buoys. And in duck hunting, you look for the sea, the wind, where the ducks are. If the birds are all in this one bay that's calm and good food and everything else, and you're going to set up in the bay next to it and think you're going to, because you're a great duck caller, you're going to pull those birds in, forget it. It ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So the knowing the sea for sailing, knowing the sea for ducks, same old. Knowing what the wind is doing, and some of that will be the clouds. But I'm 86 and 3/12 right now. And all the races that I've sailed in my life, there isn't two of them that you could overlay on one another and say they were exactly the same. I mean, this actually, if you turned around and looked at Lake Geneva right now, you'll see some black streaks going out there. Those are velocity increases, and those velocity increases will come at you. The paper says the wind is out of the northwest at 25 miles an hour today. Well, it's out of the it's out of the northwest, and it's out of the northeast, and then it's out of the north, and then it's out of the extreme northwest. It's moving all the time, and the topography of these lakes around Wisconsin will affect that. Even in Lake Michigan, or in the open sea, there's oscillations of the wind, and you can almost time them. And the timing of the oscillation is when you use your tactics to either defend or attack your competitor. I use the wind in the sport of duck hunting to set up my set up at my spot, and control the area where my birds are going to land or want to land, and hopefully have a superb duck hunt. And it's no big deal about going home with one bird short of the limit. If everybody did that, we'd probably have more ducks.
A lot of guys think they're bulletproof. They go out there and they think they can handle whatever the conditions throw at them. Where did you earn your respect, or was there one incident that perhaps kind of helped you realize or gave you that respect for the water and the weather?
Well, the Pan American Games that we spoke of up at Manitoba, that was an interesting story in itself, because the wind, it was a sunny day, the wind was out of the southwest, mild, blowing about 15. It was going to be a 2:00 start for all the fleets, and we went out at about 11, and they came over the loudspeaker and said, "All boats return to the harbor, this wind is going to die." And I look around, and I look back to the west, and I look to the north and south, and I can't see any reason. It's all blue sky. Well, we went out sailing anyway, and then we got about a mile away from the facility, and decided to put the spinnaker up and sail in, and we did. This is on a Flying Dutchman, and we got about halfway down, back towards the yacht club, and all of a sudden there's no wind. And we paddled the last quarter of a mile in, and we sit there, and they say, "Well, at 3:00 we're going." No, this is only at noon. At 3:00 we're going out. The wind will be coming up from the west. I said, "Okay." I always challenge the weather forecasters around here. Well, at 3:00 we went out. There still wasn't a breath of air, and while we're out there, we were released our tow in the area of where the race committee had set up. And all of a sudden, I said to my friend Bill Benson, I said, "Smell that?" He said, "Smell what?" And I said, "That's countryside. Pigs." I could smell the pigs. And sure enough, the telltale little ribbon on the side stay started to wiggle, and it came up. And so we put the sails up, and we started to coast along. We're going pretty good. We're going a little faster and a little faster and a little faster. We come back, and they finally start the race. And we chose the leeward end of the starting line, and immediately we could tack and cross the whole fleet. And we're roaring. We're going pretty damn fast now to the windward mark. We go around the windward mark. We got a comfortable lead. We're starting down on the beam reach, and we're going faster and faster. And in the Flying Dutchman, the crew throws or moves his weight aft, and my crew has now got 1 foot on one side of my butt and another foot on the other side of my butt, and I sort of lock his knees in. So we're become one, and we're stable, and he's not going to be dociled around in the sea condition. We're going faster, and I said, "How we doing on the competition?" And he wouldn't look back. He's working the kite, and we're going really fast. And I spun around, and I looked, and there's nobody. I couldn't see a sail. And I said, "I don't see a sail." And I look again, and I saw hulls in the water. And so we got to the jibe mark, and he said, "We're going to jibe." And I said, "No, we're taking a kite down. Something's going on." So we took the spinnaker down, jibes at the mark, unrolled the jib, and we're going across on the beam reach, and we're going faster and faster. And I'm looking up the windward now because I don't have a spinnaker. It's more controllable. And I don't see a sail. We go to the bottom mark, and there was a committee boat down there, and they've left their station, and they're going up through the course to aid in rescue of all these other boats, apparently. We go around the mark and go to windward, and we'd rolled up the jib. It had roller furling, and so now we're only sailing with the main. We got to the windward mark. Yeah, I mean, it's blowing 40. And in this kind of a boat, it's a tricky situation. We turn the windward mark, and I'm reaching off. And I said to Benson, I'm looking, and because Winnipeg is shallow, boy, the seas were just like the side wall. We're looking as we turned down. And I said, well, what are we going to do? What do you think we ought to do? He said, well, why don't you turn down and see what happens? Well, I turned down, and honest to gosh, the first wall of wind that we looked at, there was no lift in the bow at all. We just were smashed right into that wall of water, and the boat capsized, and we're both in the water, and he's all in a hurry to get up and rolling. And I said, well, let's get everything under control first. We're okay. It's a self-bailing cockpit. So we flipped the boat back up. We had broke away the mast partner, so we took the jib sheet, tied the mast over to the one partner that still remained, and now I said, okay, you put your foot down on the starboard side of the boat, and I'm going to put my foot down in the water on the port side of the boat, and we're going to go about the speed of what we could do here with the sea itself. And sure enough, we got to the bottom mark, and then we only had to sail to windward. Well, by the time we got to the finish line, we could have put the jib back up, but because of the busted mast partner and the fact that we're using the jib sheets to tie the mast over, the mast did pick up a bend because we had gone with such force in our capsize. But we were the only boat to finish. There was out of I think there was, I don't know if there were 18 or 20 some boats but it was a Pan-American game, so you didn't get the Europeans, you got South Americans and Canadians and the U.S. So, but anyway, that to me was a real sense of what Mother Nature can do. These guys sailing around the world get into some of this stuff, going down through the Southern Ocean with these icebergs floating around and stuff like that, and they're going 30 knots in the middle of the night. Thank you, no. I'll take my day sailing on Lake Geneva and enjoy the hell out of that.